with Mobius as a communication and marketing specialist. And today I'm just going to walk you guys through sort of just the beginner's guide to social media. I'm going to walk you through how to set up a Facebook and how to manage it, and then how to set up a Twitter account and how to manage it. So we're going to begin with Facebook. I've kind of just gone through and listed the step-by-step on how to set up a Facebook page. I'm not going to go through this in detail right now just because I think most people listening in have a Facebook account already and are looking to figure out how to improve the quality of the page, but I still do want to at least give this to you guys in case you realize going through the webinar that you either have your page set up incorrectly or you haven't done it yet. So one thing I do want to note on this is that if you are managing a Facebook account that is your nonprofit or organization, you want to have a Facebook page. It shouldn't be a personal Facebook account or a person, event, a location, or any other option because it can and will interfere with your ability to function as an organization on Facebook, and that's just here in this first point. So that's my suggestion. And then, so if you find that that's not the case for you guys right now, then definitely read through this and make sure that the way that you have your Facebook set up is using it to the best of its ability. So now we're going to scroll down and get started. So to start off with, I always start off every week creating a plan for what I'm going to be posting. So your social media post should be centered on what's going on in your organization. It shouldn't be a unique thing that, you know, if someone was to go to your website or come into your office or talk to you, they wouldn't be getting separate information from you from those sources as they would from social media. Social media should be a way to get out all the information that's on these other platforms. So at the beginning of the week, just like you would go over sort of what your week is going to look like when you have events, when you have meetings, when big things are happening that relate to your organization, make notes of that in a calendar and understand that that's something that you're going to want to be posting about. I literally set up a calendar like the one that you see on your right on the screen and write down things that I don't want to forget about so that I know to post them ahead of time on the date that it's happening, or I do coverage of it the next day. And sometimes I do all three depending on how big the event is. But yeah, so this is going to be a really helpful tool for you guys just to get started and get organized, so you're not just signing on every day and posting something, you know, that you can think of. You have a schedule, you have a plan, and that's going to make it a lot easier to generate content in the moment. So things to consider are past and upcoming events, potential special match stories, media coverage that you may have received, holidays, and fun things that are going around Vermont, things that relate to youth, things that relate to mentors, or things that just relate to any of the audiences. A really great way to, if you're like having a hard time thinking of who your audiences are, is making a list, and then seeing, oh, I'm not reaching this person on social media. I need to start making posts that relate to them. So yeah, so that's getting started, and then we kind of go into the more tangible concepts of Facebook. So I'm going to start with the hashtag. Most of you probably have at least seen these or used them or are familiar with them. But the point of a hashtag is what you do is you place the pound or the hashtag symbol in front of a word. And what you're doing is you're signaling to Facebook that this is a keyword or this is a phrase that relates to your post that you want other people to know about. So it creates, there's like, you can basically search a hashtag, or Facebook will use these hashtags to understand that your post is more relevant to this concept. And it kind of works into their complicated system of figuring out who wants to see your post and who doesn't. But this is a great way to have your post be relevant to things that are trending and things that are relevant in the moment. So you can use hashtags for the month. You can use hashtags that relate to your specific audience, or you can use hashtags for a topic. So for instance, I might say hashtag January for National Mentoring Month. Anytime I'm talking to mentors, I'll do hashtag mentors, or I'll do hashtag mentoring programs. or if I was posting about today, I'll want to do hashtag webinar. And so the idea isn't to create my own hashtags because they're fun and quirky, although that's kind of fun to do anyway. It's more to draw yourself into a larger conversation. And so you want to be using hashtags that already exist. A big one that people are quite fond of, I've seen in the mentoring community, is Throwback Thursday. I think working with mentoring programs is easy for us to be able to say, oh, look at this mentor pair and see how much they've grown, or look at how our mentor program was when we first started. It's a great way to kind of tie in that emotional piece of mentoring. So just as we're talking about this one, I just want people to know right now it's December 2014, and next month is National Mentoring Month. And so the hashtags that we're going to be using throughout that month is hashtag mentoring works, hashtag mentoring effect, and hashtag someone who matters. And so if you're talking about National Mentoring Month, using one or all of these in your post is going to help tie into that larger conversation. So that's probably the most significant one. Some other ones, some other tangible ideas is tagging people. And so this is if you want to let someone know that you're talking about them in a post, you put the @ symbol, and then you start typing in their Facebook account or page name, and then a drop-down menu will appear, and you can select the correct option. Sometimes Facebook is a little weird with this, and you'll start typing in their Facebook account name, and it won't show up. I'm not really sure why Facebook does this. I think it's just a weird combination of figuring out if it's the page posting or the personal account posting. But if you post, make the post, submit it, and then go into edit and open up that screen, usually you can tag the Facebook account from there if it won't let you do it in the original posting. And I know that that's sort of weird, but it's worked for me in the past. So that's just a little side note. Yeah, okay, so then continuing on, another great way to get more impressions and views and connections with people is tagging pictures. And so if you're posting up a picture and either it's a picture of a mentoring program or a person, or they're at a certain location or a business, you're going to want to tag them, those people in there, because the picture is going to show up on their Facebook profile, and that allows you to create awareness, create impressions for people who aren't necessarily following you right away. So the way that you do that is you click on the image is going to pop up, and you can scroll over the image, and this black bar appears at the bottom. And I can show you what I mean by that. All of our postings for the day, you can see them. Here's an image. So if you were to scroll up this, and then I can click tag photo, and for instance, Susie Merrick is in this, so if I was going to tag her, I could click it, type Susie Merrick. And I'm not going to do that right now, but that is an example. When you're doing this, you can also go over here and you can add a location, so you can say where you are, where this photo was taken, and that also is going to help just with geography, figuring out where your posts are being created, creates more relevance. So that's a tip. And then the last is scheduling a post. This is like my favorite feature ever, and so a lot of times you want to be creating a lot of content on Facebook. That's going to be what kind of gets your Facebook going, is having content generation, not too much, but consistent generation. And so what's really helpful for me is if at the beginning of the week I know I'm too busy to make a ton of posts, I can just decide what I'm going to post throughout the week and schedule them in. Or if I'm going to be gone for the weekend, or if I want to post after office hours, or if I'm going home for vacation, I can set this up. So the way that you do that, I'm just going to show you guys, but it's in your toolkit. But you go in here into the box and say, hey, everyone. And so instead of hitting post like you normally would, you just click this drop-down arrow, and then you click Schedule Post. And then you can select the day and the time that you want it to post on. And so I'm not going to schedule it because I don't post to everyone, but you can always go back. See, I already have 4 scheduled posts. And you can click See Post, and then I can go to this new page where, once my computer loads, there we go. So where you can see the scheduled post. So this is all the posts that are going to happen over the weekend, because I will not be posting social media over the weekend. But this way, Mobius is. So I stay relevant. I keep content is being generated. Okay, so that's one of my favorite tools. When you're in that setting, if you don't know when you want to post it, but you have this really awesome piece of content created, underneath Schedule Post is Save as Draft. So you can also save it, and then when you figure out when you want to post it, you can just go in to your drafts and post it right away. So those are some tangibles. And then I also wanted to kind of talk about the mindset of posting on social media. Just some tips that I like to think of as I'm creating my posts for the week, for the month, for the day. So the first one is be consistent. If you have an event coming up, make sure it's on social media. You know, just like I was talking about at the beginning, you know, if there's something relevant that's going on, that should be something that's on your social media, because that's a huge confirmation for people. Like, is this event still happening? I don't know. I'll go on their Facebook, and then if they don't see anything about you guys preparing for it or excited about it or being there, they may not realize that it's still happening. So I usually like to talk about bigger events ahead of time, the day before, when it's happening, and then afterwards. And so the consistency just assures people it's a great reminder, too, if people like forgot and they see it in their feed. They're like, oh, right, I'm going to that. And yeah, so just make sure that they're consistent. I think using like the same vocabulary as I'm posting things is really helpful for people, so they don't get confused and think that there's multiple events happening. Having a consistent title is going to be really helpful for people. But still be creative. Like, you don't want to just make the same post over and over again. So there's a balance. So the second is mix it up. So as we were scrolling through my Facebook beforehand, you could see that I didn't just have, you know, pictures in every single post. And so I have a mix of kind of not monologues, but longer text with more information, and then I have pictures with context. So I tell them what's going on. You don't want to just post a lot of text or pictures without context, or just post the same identical post over and over again. You really want to mix it up. So you can do short, fun facts. You can do pictures with a story. You can post infographics, videos, links to your website, and reason why you want them to go to that certain website. Post exciting news. That stuff is always really helpful as you're starting to think of things. And then, so the next tip is just find your balance. So, like, don't overpost. You don't want to be doing too many, but you don't want to underpost either and have people think that you've created a Facebook profile. You put up things like, you know, once in a while. You know, you want people to know that you're active and that things are happening at your mentoring programs. This is how people don't see what's going on in your program, but you do. And so if you're just letting them in every once in a while, like, hey, this is what we're up to. Hey, this is what's going on, then they realize that you guys are busy and active and getting things done. So I usually like to post 1 to 3 things on Facebook. 3 is a lot usually, because I think it takes away from some other posts. But if you're doing 1 a day or a couple a week, I think that that's perfect. If that's overwhelming for you, then, you know, make it once a week. Just find your balance. Find what works for you. I always think quality is better than quantity. So if you do reach that, you know, once a week post, but, you know, you don't really feel like your posts have a lot of value to them, then, you know, don't try and push yourself too much. And just focus on the social media that you can do. Make sure that you're being informative. Make sure that you're being relevant. Make sure that you're being intriguing. You know, people are scrolling through their Facebook feeds, and this is going to just sort of come through. You want something that is important to them and is going to be relevant. So another hint, I guess, is to color code your calendar. So that monthly calendar that I showed you at the beginning, if you're using multiple social media outlets, because we're going to talk about Twitter in a little bit, and some people I know are on Instagram, it's helpful to write different social media posts that you're going to be using. So even if, so like I'll use like a purple pen and write, okay, so I'm posting about this event on this day on Facebook, but then I'm also posting about that event but the next day on Twitter. And so then I can take a step back and look at my calendar and just based on the colors, be like, okay, well, I'm posting on Twitter a ton, but my Facebook isn't getting enough attention. Or I may feel like I'm doing a lot on Instagram, but it turns out that, you know, I'm totally ignoring one of my other outlets. So that kind of just helps you find your balance as well. And then if you feel like you can't, if you're trying to use too many media platforms, then just focus on one. Kind of like what we were talking about the last note, like you're going to want to find your balance. So if you feel like Facebook is a really good use for you guys and you want to do Twitter, but you're not quite ready for it, then that's fine, you know, one step at a time. And then the last post for this list is get feedback. So I send all of my social media posts at the beginning of the week when I create my calendar or when I get them done to our communication and technology manager, Benji. And so he just reads over them and makes sure that they're grammatically correct, because grammar is not my high suit. And then if there's some opportunities that I'm missing in a post, he notes those as well. And so that's really helpful for me to just have a second set of eyes looking over something, so I'm not pushing out content that makes sense to me but may not make sense to everyone else. Okay, so now we're going to scroll down and finish up that section. So the next part up here is sharing. So I leave chunks of time in my calendar to just go on Facebook and browse through our Facebook feed and share other people's Facebook posts, or like their Facebook posts, or comment on their Facebook posts. You know, I want people to be doing that for ours, so it's not very fair if, you know, I'm generating all this great content but then not paying attention to other people's. So leave some space in your schedule, your social media schedule to share things, and that takes like barely any time at all. If anything, it's kind of fun just to see what's going on in the community, and it's a really great way to build those friendships and build the relationships. So the last one I have is stay connected. So there's all sorts of different ways to figure out what hashtags or topics are training. I can show you the one on Twitter later, but on Facebook, you're just going to get a quick glance at my personal newsfeed for a second. I'm going to show you how to switch users. But right here, this is what's trending today. Looks like Star Wars is trending. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so those, you can see more. So this is like a really easy way to see what's going on Facebook as far as topics and hashtags. But you can Google this sort of stuff. There's different websites. There is something called hashtags.org that I check out every once in a while and just figure out what's going on. So, you know, recognizing holidays, thinking about what's going on globally, nationally, regionally, and pulling yourself into that conversation. Something that I kind of like to do is there's a page called nationaldaycalendar.com, which I put in your toolkit. So I like to go there just to see if there's anything kind of goofy going on that week, like National Brownie Sunday Day. I think I posted on National Gingerbread House Day or something like that last week. So, you know, we're in a fun industry where we can tie stuff like that into our social media posts. So, you know, you have fun with it, get creative, but, you know, there definitely is a structure to social media that's going to really help you guys. So we are going to move on to the next one just so that I'm wary of the time. But the next idea is posting with focus. So just like there's, you know, you either do something to create or generate awareness or to have people action, you know, you call it that call to action. You also want to either be posting to educate people or to engage with people. And so thinking about your posts in two different concepts. So the first step to getting someone to act is actually generating awareness. You want to have someone be aware, have them create an attitude towards you, which is going to create a belief, which is going to create action. So there's definitely a step process. So first you got to have people know what's going on. So this really, I think, can sometimes feel boring, but it's so helpful to people to build, have that structure of, what is your brand, what is your organization, what's it about, what's the voice, what's the personality to it. So the three ways I like to look at educating people or creating awareness is building credibility, which is right here, appealing to their emotions, or using reasoning. So the first one is called building credibility, is called ethos. And so, show them that you're doing things, talk to them about events, give them some facts, show them that you are talking with mentors and mentoring programs or mentor pairs. So give them quotes, cite yourself, say some things that have been awesome that you're doing, cite other people, show them that you're looking at other people to learn about your program. So that's going to build credibility that things are going on in your mentoring program. So the next one is called pathos. So this is appealing to their emotions, using pictures. Quotes are great for building credibility, but if they're emotional quotes and they have really great meaning to them, then that's going to appeal to people's emotions. Using adjectives, being really aware of your language and how you're describing what's going on. And then the last one is logos. So this is reasoning. So if people are like, okay, so these people are awesome, I have this emotional connection to them, but why am I doing this? What's the point? And so this is when you can tie in growth statistics. So whether you're talking about how mentoring has affected Vermont, affected the nation, how your mentoring program has grown, how a specific mentor pair has grown, tying in anything like that. And that also goes into the before and after sort of thought. And then testimonials are really great for this too, like having people talk about how mentoring has changed them. And so then the second focus is engaging them. And so we've talked about a little bit throughout this conversation about using diverse formats and content. So I just gave you guys some suggestions using images, graphics, one-liners, sharing other people's posts, sharing stories, sharing quotes, mixing it up, because you want people to engage, but different things attract different people. Images are definitely a huge hit as far as organizations posting on Facebook, but you don't want to just always be shooting out pictures. So another way to do that is supporting past posts. So sometimes I'll make a larger post about an event, like this is what's going on, this is when it's happening, this is where it's happening, this is why you want to be there. But then I'll make smaller posts referring to that post, but they don't have all the same information. So I might talk about the speaker that's coming, or I might do a throwback Thursday and be like, hey, remember last year when this happened? It was really fun. You should come this year too. And then highlighting upcoming events. So that's just talking about the fact that you want people to know what's going on, letting them know ahead of time and giving them reminders in fun, different ways. Engaging, ask people to be action-based. Tell them to like things. Tell them to share things. Tell them to comment, like this if you have a mentor in your life. So I think these don't always generate the feedback that we think it will. So, if you say, hey, like this, and then nobody likes it, don't get discouraged, because although no one may have responded, it still generated views, and it still has people thinking about it. So they may not have acted on the comment, but they're like, oh, I did have a mentor in my life. That was awesome. Or they may be like, oh, did I have a mentor in my life? Let me think about that. And then you're on their mind. There's someone that you're thinking about. So even though you may not see what your social media is doing, if people are viewing your posts, then they are engaging with you. And that's the point, more than actually generating likes. So engaging, emotional ties, so sort of in the same way that you want people thinking of you, with the action-based, having emotional ties in there also gets people creating an attitude and a belief towards your organization, and that is That's really, really strong. And then the last is appreciating your volunteers. So, you have mentors out there who are doing amazing things, so giving them shout-outs, letting them know that they're appreciated and how important they are to your organization. So we're going to keep going. So this is, I'm only going to touch on this pretty short, but basically having a plan, and this is sort of what I brought up at the beginning, that social media is part of a larger conversation for your organization. This should be something that's consistent with everything else that's going on in your mentoring program. And so just as if you would approach any other sort of objective that you want to get done, you would think of, okay, so what are we trying to get done here? Who cares about what we're trying to get done? What are we going to do about it? How are we going to get it done? And did we do it? And so social media just falls in the how are you going to get it done? Okay, how are we going to get it done? We're going to create this event, and we're going to start talking about it in this blog, and we're going to start making phone calls to people. Like these are tactics. Social media just falls underneath the tactics. It's just a way of getting a larger objective accomplished. And so you want to make sure that in the end, social media is allowing you to direct online traffic to the final destination, which is your website. And so something you don't want to be doing is, you have this awesome Facebook page. You want people to know about it. You want people to like it, but you don't want people to get to your website and then to have your website direct you back to Facebook, because then they're not sure where they're supposed to be. Your Facebook is awesome, and it's a great way to engage with people, but your website should be the place where people know how to become mentors or learn how to get resources or learn how to engage with the organization in the end. And so this is what I was talking about before when I was saying that we viewed my personal homepage for a second. And so something that you want to understand is that this is my personal feed. And then we're going to go to Mobius. And so I'm loading, an administrator. So when I go to right here, this box right here means I'm posting as Mobius. So if I want to change that, I can scroll here, and then I can post as Andrea. And so I can do that pretty much anywhere. I can click this arrow down and post as I'm admins to more than one thing, but most people will just use these two, which is your personal and then your page. If I want to go to my homepage and I want it to be Mobius's homepage, then I go to this drop-down arrow and I select Mobius, and then it loads. So now I'm on Facebook. No, I'm independent of my personal account, and I'm now actually Mobius. So anything I do now is going to be Mobius instead of being Andrea and then being able to post as Mobius. Which is like kind of confusing, but you don't have to switch to this. But I think that if you're going to view your feed, or if you are going to make multiple posts or multiple comments, it's just easier every once in a while to switch over. So now I'm viewing, this is still the home page, this is still a Facebook feed, but instead of my personal one, this is Mobius's. And so I can go through here and I can like stuff and comment on things and engage with other people who are my friends and followers. Cool. So that is Facebook. And that's the general run through. If you guys have any questions, you guys are more than welcome to contact me at any time. You can email the team at info@mobiusmentors.org. But we're going to start the conversation now about Twitter. And so in the same way that I did it for Facebook, this is a basic way to set up Twitter. And something that I want to make a note about for both of these is YouTube has a lot of great resources. If you look up pretty much anything on YouTube as far as social media goes, there's tutorials and guides and walkthroughs on step-by-steps on how to set up things. So I went through and it was a a really detailed setup as far as words go, but if you're more of a visual learner, or if you have more questions, I definitely recommend people to look to YouTube as a resource. So we're going to go into the tips now. And so a lot of the information I just talked about for Facebook is relevant to Twitter. And so I actually went through and wrote down what is relevant and what is not. And so this is all the stuff that you can go back to and be like, oh, okay, so that applies to Twitter. Great. But the main difference between Facebook and Twitter is that, or the one that I find, is that you only have 140 characters to post. And so it definitely limits what you can do and say. But you can generate a lot more content because you can just put out little spouts instead of having big, solid, content-filled Facebook posts. So dealing with 140 characters, I want to just kind of talk about that for a second. Like sometimes it can be sort of difficult, and I think that most people go to using like abbreviations and acronyms or slang or like half words to try and get out all the information that they want. And so something that I think that really takes away from a lot of posts, because then people look at it and it doesn't make sense to them, so they just keep going. They're like, that I was supposed to be able to read that in 2 seconds, and it doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not going to spend time figuring it out. So instead, decide what's the most important information that people need to know. Include that in the post, obviously as like less characters as you can. But I usually like think of like a title or like some way to unify my Twitter posts that may be talking about the same thing but have extra information. And you can just create multiple posts with little tidbits of the extra information. So like something that I always want to include is like, so like I said here, like include a consistent title or idea for your split post. So I'll think of a title or idea that's going to pull all of it together, for instance, like National Mentoring Month. But one post might be about this webinar that's coming up, and then another one might be to remind people to register, and then another might be about a speaker. And so instead of including all of that in one tweet, this is actually more helpful because now I'm generating more content, but I'm also splitting it up so I can talk a little bit more about the webinar or about the speaker instead of trying to cram it all into one post. And so then I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences between Twitter and Facebook. Although they're the same action, they just do different things. And so on Facebook, you can comment on someone's post. On Twitter, you reply to someone's post. And so I walked you through after this, like exactly how to do that, but I'm also going to show you. Yay, this is our Twitter account. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Sorry. I think wanting to go to a meeting and then having social media display it down a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so this is the reply, which is great because it just like, if you like scroll over it, but you just pick which tweet you want to reply to and you click it. And then a box will come up in a second. And then this tags the people. So just like in Facebook, how you have that @ symbol. So in Facebook, the way that you tag is like you'll write like at the, so then this drop-down menu comes, and then you select it, and then the @ symbol goes away. In Twitter, it stays. And so that's the same concept, just looks a little different. But so when you reply to someone, it'll include the names. You want to keep those, and then you can write your conversation. So, hey, how you doing? And so this is not a message. This is a reply. So I am replying to whatever Jack Thornton retweeted AG Bill Sorrell, and I'm replying to that conversation. And I have no interest in replying to National Cramming Settlement with T-Mobile, but it's on my feed, so I was posting about it. Great. And so when you reply to posts, you're answering to someone's conversation. This is going to go on a unique tab in your Twitter page. So you have a Twitter page, and I'll show you what that looks like. But it's going to go to, it's not going to go to your main page. It's going to go to this this extra tab, which is, it's still loading. I'll show it to you in a second. But yeah, so this, it's basically letting someone know, hey, I replied to you. It's going to notify them, and it creates a conversation. Another thing that you can do is you can retweet someone. And so this is like sharing on Facebook. So just like you can share people's posts on Facebook, you can retweet people on Twitter. So here we are back. This is my Twitter page, and so I pinned. We have this lovely PSA that we just created, and so I pinned that at the top of my Twitter page. So when any time someone goes to my Twitter page, that's the first thing that comes up, and then you can see all this stuff that we are tweeting. So this is my tweets. I can click this. This is tweets and replies. So before we were talking about replies, this is the tab that you're going to see those on. So you won't see it on this main page, but you'll see it on this additional page. So to retweet someone, you see this green arrow. So normally it looks like this, like the reply one is gray. I'm just going to go to my home page so it makes a little bit more sense. But this is the retweet button. And so in the same way that I talked you guys through how to reply, the retweet is the same thing. So it brings it up, says, okay, this is you are posting this to your friends' Twitter feed if they're following you, and to your page. And so you can click retweet. I'm not going to, but that's how you get that done. And so again, I walk you through that verbally in the toolkit. So favoriting, and on Facebook you can like something. On Facebook you can favorite it. And so that's so this is the reply, this is the retweet, whoops, and this is the favorite. So it's a star. And so you can be like, favorite, yay, and unfavorite it. But there you go. So that doesn't show up anywhere on your friends' Facebook feeds, or, oh goodness, your followers' Twitter feeds. But it will show up. You can go back and look at the favorites here. This is my Twitter page, and I can click on favorites, and then I can see all the things that I favorited. Great. And then, so then we're going to talk about direct messaging. This is like messaging someone on Facebook. And so it's also called DMing, so DMing, or direct messaging someone. So direct message doesn't show up on any of these weird tabs. So you have your tweets, your followers, who you're following, the list that you create, your things that you favorite. You have all of these different tabs. Direct messages is a private message. And so the way you do that is click this messages tab up here on the top, and then it will pull up a screen, and you create a new message. And so if I wanted to talk to SD mentoring, I would type in SD and select that, and then I would type in this conversation. And in the end, it would tell me, like, I can send a message. So that is how you direct message someone. And you can add photos to that. You can direct message people their tweets. So if you see something and I'm like, oh, I really want SD mentoring to see that, then I can direct message that tweet to them. So, and like add a comment so that they know that either something's happening or if there was something I was just excited about. And so the way you do that is if you look at this more button, share via direct message. And so I would click on it, and then the same message bar would open up. And so in this case, I'm sending them this tweet, and then I can comment on it. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, this is exciting. We recently held. Congratulations. Yeah, so then I'm going to give you guys, this is the end of it, extra Twitter tips. So there are two things that I use on Twitter that help me a ton. One is bit.ly.com, and I sent you guys that link. And basically it's a place where you can go. I have it in my saved tabs because it's awesome. If you have these really long links that usually are generated from invitations or just like your website or Facebook post or whatever, you can go here. And so it looks a little different on mine because I have a Bitly account. You don't have to create a Bitly account. I just like it because I can go and look at how much traffic my my links are creating. So like 39 people clicked Become a Mentor. And I can even see who clicked it, which is really exciting. So you type in this really long, here, I'll use this one. Copy paste it in here. And then you click this funny fish, and then it shortens it. So this is my new link. And so you hit the copy button, and then ta-da, I can post this wherever I want. I can Tweetdeck. That's what I'm essentially doing right now. So yeah, so now my link is like so much shorter. And so this doesn't always actually save you characters. Links aren't based off of characters. They're based off of like content, just like if you were going to add a picture to your tweet or a video that takes up a certain amount of characters. So links, just in general, take up a certain amount of characters. But sometimes for the really long ones, they do save you characters. So it just sort of depends based on length. But it does look a lot more tidy, and it looks a lot more clean. And when you're scrolling through this, these nice little short links just look a lot better on Twitter. So you can see all of the shorter links. Like this one is a long link, and so it kind of scrolls off. This one scrolls off, but these nice clean ones just look much better. And so I love that. You can use them on Facebook as well and other social media. Just understand that Bitly links aren't permanent, so you don't want to just use the same Bitly link over and over again because eventually they actually do expire. So don't use them as hyperlinks on your website. And then the last note I want to make was about scheduling a tweet. So we talked about scheduling a tweet on Facebook. Twitter actually doesn't allow you to do that. You can't. It's very sad. But they have something called Tweetdeck. And so this is me signed in on my Tweetdeck. Tweetdeck is it's like a tool for Twitter. And so basically, if you go to tweetdeck.com, I gave you guys the link, you sign into it as if you're signing into Twitter, but you have so much more information. And so this is definitely a little overwhelming if you're just getting started with Twitter. If you want to know more about it, you can email me and ask me questions. We'll walk you through it. Or you can look it up on YouTube and have someone walk you through a tutorial. Either way is totally fine. But when you sign in, none of these tabs here will be gone. These are tabs I created. The one you want to pay attention to is really you want to click this. This is like the tweeting button. So this tab opens up. And so you can say, hey, how are you? And instead of just tweeting right away, you can go to this button and select schedule a tweet, and I can select the date, I can select the time. It can be really obscure. Sometimes tweeting things not on the half hour or 15-minute actually is helpful because other people are scheduling tweets, and so that's something that I have found. So not if everyone is posting at 4 o'clock and you're posting at 4:05, it's a little easier for you to be seen. But yeah, so here you can, so you'll schedule a tweet. I'm going to delete it later because I don't want to say hey out to everyone. And then it shows up in my queue. So this is all of the tweets that are going out over this weekend while I'm not here. So I'm actually going to delete this. And you can edit these, like there's edit, delete. So they're not permanent, but you can see how they're going to look. And it just makes it really easy because now I'm not going to be here this weekend, but all this is going out, and it's going to keep people engaged, and it keeps the conversation going. Great. So that's my last point. So yeah, so that is the basics on how to interact with people, how to have, how to manage your social media, how to manage your Facebook, how to manage your Twitter. Definitely is not the end to the resources or the opportunities, but it's a great starting point. If you pick a couple of these things that you really want to focus on and learn to get better with them, or you can make notes on all of them and improve. But if you do have, it definitely is a lot of information. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email me. Again, our team email is info@mobiusmentors.org. And you can keep this toolkit, and I definitely suggest reading over it a little bit more in detail. I sort of just explained which each one was about, but all of these go through a really detailed explanation of how to create a hashtag, how to tag them, what it's doing, where it's putting it, why you want to. So I made sure that it was only a couple pages so it wouldn't take a very long time to read through. But I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys later on.